Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something really strange, an economic mystery that a lot of Israelis feel right in their gut every single day. A paradox where life can feel both more affordable and impossibly expensive at the exact same time. Okay, so let's just dive right in. On one hand, your day-to-day buying power, it's gotten way better. I mean, think about this. To buy a simple Big Mac today, you've got to work for about 20 minutes. Go back to 1995, that same meal, that would have cost you 39 minutes of your time. So in that way, yeah, life feels easier. But then there's the other hand, the big dream, owning a home. That feels like it's drifting further and further out of reach. The number of salaries you need to buy just an average apartment has shot through the roof. It's nearly tripled in that same period. And suddenly, life feels a lot harder. So what gives? This is the great Israeli paradox. It's this weird feeling of progress and crisis, all tangled up together. And in this explainer, we're going to use the hard data from our sources to untangle. All right, first up, let's look at the good news, the richer side of this whole thing. Why does it feel like day-to-day your money actually goes further than it used to? The trend here is just undeniable. If we use the good old Big Mac as our guide, our hamburger index, the amount of time you have to work to afford one has been dropping for decades. I mean, it's been nearly cut in half since '95. When it comes to everyday stuff, your time is literally worth more. And here's why that's even possible. Yeah, sure, the price of that Big Mac has more than tripled, but look at this. Average wages have almost perfectly kept up. When your paycheck is growing just as fast as the price of your lunch, daily life feels, well, manageable, even pretty comfortable. So you feel it at the supermarket, you feel it when you're buying clothes, your wallet feels a little fuller. And the data totally backs that up. But, and this is a huge but, this is only one half of the story. Because at the exact same time, a dramatic erosion was happening somewhere else entirely. Okay, let's flip to the other side of this paradox. Let's look at what's building that feeling of being poorer, that feeling of being left behind, even though you're working your tail off. And this right here, this is where the dream starts to fall apart. Just look at this climb. It's been relentless. Back in 1995, buying an average apartment took about 75 of your monthly salaries. Now, that's a huge effort for sure, but it felt doable. Fast forward to 2010, it jumps to 125. And today, a mind-boggling 188 salaries. The goalposts haven't just moved, they're in a completely different city. And this chart, this reveals the absolute heart of the problem. It's the great disconnect. Look, housing prices haven't just gone up, they've exploded, growing 8.3 times since 1995. But our wages, they only grew 3.3 times. These two numbers are moving in completely different universes. They're not even on the same planet. Okay, so here's the key economic idea we have to get to solve this whole puzzle. It's called asset price inflation. And it's pretty simple, actually. It just means the economy for things you buy, like a coffee, a burger, a smartphone, is totally separate from the economy for things you own, like a piece of real estate. What's crazy is that the sources show the length of the average mortgage, how many years you pay it off. It hasn't really changed that much in the last decade or so. But to make up for those insane prices, the pressure had to go somewhere. So the burden shifted. It's not about how long you pay anymore. It's about how much money you can possibly squeeze out every single month. And the numbers really prove it. Just look at the shift since 2010. The average mortgage payment in central Israel has pretty much doubled. Today, that payment eats up a staggering 87% of the average national salary. Not 87% of your take-home pay, 87% of the entire average salary. That leaves almost nothing left over for, living. But what if you were savvy about this, right? Maybe you saw this coming and thought, I know, I'll save in a strong currency, like the US dollar. That'll protect me. Surely that worked. Right? Okay, get ready, because this is probably the most shocking part of the whole story. In 1995, $250,000 was a ton of money. It could buy you 2, maybe even 3 apartments in central Israel. Today, That exact same amount of cash, it won't even buy you one. It barely covers the down payment. This one number says everything you need to know. That is the estimated loss of the US dollar's purchasing power when you put it up against Israeli real estate since 1995. It's just a catastrophic collapse. So what this tells us is that the problem wasn't something you could outsmart by just picking the right currency. This was a local asset bubble, going so fast and so furiously that it just steamrolled everything else in its path, including one of the most powerful currencies in the world. So, we figured out the what and the how. Now let's look at the consequences. What does this tale of two economies actually mean for the future? Well, for one thing, this crisis isn't hitting everyone the same way. It's carving out these huge gaps, both geographically and socially. A mortgage in Tel Aviv demands a payment of over 20,000 shekels a month. That is more than 4 times what it is in Beersheba. It's like we're creating different countries inside one tiny nation. And this isn't just about money or economics. It's changing the very fabric of Israeli society. It's creating this huge wealth gap between generations. It's making young people feel like the game is totally rigged against them unless their family can help them out. That whole traditional path to a secure middle-class life, it feels broken. We're shifting from a country of owners to a country of renters. And what if this trend just keeps going? The projections are pretty startling. A young person starting their career just 20 years from now could need somewhere between 250 and 280 of their salaries to buy a single apartment. Just let that sink in for a second. That's the same as working for 22 or 23 years and giving every single shekel you earn, before tax, before food, before anything, just to own a home. We're talking about a future where home ownership becomes basically impossible for anyone who isn't already from a wealthy family. And that brings us right back to where we started. Back to the heart of this paradox. We have this two-speed economy, one where your day-to-day life feels pretty good, and another where the future looks pretty bleak. The data is clear, the trend lines are honestly terrifying, and it leaves us all with a really critical question. What kind of society does this create? And what fundamentally has to change?